Hello, good morning. No, not good morning. Let's just cut straight to the chase. The government will require all civil servants to be working class from September 2026. Now, people are arguing over meritocracy. People are arguing over many, many things. I'm going to say one word for you, and that's segregation. There you go. So I've talked about this a lot with Bridget Philipson and independent schools. And the absolute classist, I mean, I don't even know, we have the word racist, we have so many ist words, do we? What do we call the word where you actively oppose a class, whether it be higher or lower than your own? I'm going to call it classist. It's not a word, but we'll go with it. So Bridget Philipson is classist. Unless you came from her exact background, then you don't deserve to be where you are today. You need to have struggled like Bridget, Rachel, Keir. I mean, can we look at these people that struggled and it was really hard for them to get where they are, despite their Oxford University backgrounds? I could show you struggling. I could absolutely show you struggling, but I don't, because what we do is we work hard to get what we want from life. And we don't blame somebody above us or below us or sideways or wherever. We just work hard. So we now have to be, if we want to be a civil servant, working class by 2026. What even is that? What the actual, sorry for the words, is that? What is working class today? Because we all knew what it used to be. Then Keir Starmer came in and started banging on about working class, and it turned out it was anyone without savings. Then Rachel Reeves came in with her axe, wielded any hope of anyone having anything to survive, let alone save. So we're all fucking working class now, aren't we? And, back in the day when I was at school, you were taught that if you learnt to do what you wanted to do really well, you'd get a job. It was, it's clearly an outdated thing now. But my son, who's about to go to university because he desperately wants to be an engineer. So he's engineer. So he's worked really, really hard at his sciences and his maths so that he can be the best engineer he can be. Now, if he's not from the right class background, does that mean it was all for nothing? And that he can't do it? Whereas my daughter, she wants to work with horses. That's all she wants to do. She would muck out stables for the rest of her life. She works so hard with the horses. Does that mean that whatever class background she's from, she can't do that? Because she's either working class and they want upper class, or she's upper class and they want working class, or she's just horse class. And horse class doesn't have a class because Keir Starmer doesn't say whether you have money in your bank for that or not. We don't know what that class is. That one is TBC. And they're rewriting society based on their own backgrounds. And because Keir Starmer's dad was a toolmaker, which he proudly talks about it, then tries to forget it ever happened with the unhand. My mum grew up on a council estate. She grew up on a council estate in London, and she was a very successful career woman in her own right. My dad did not grow up on a council estate. He had what you might call a different background. He was also really successful. Should I tell you why my parents were successful, despite their very different backgrounds? Because they worked bloody hard at what they did. They didn't stop. They didn't have loads of money in the bank. We didn't go on holidays if we didn't have the money. We didn't have new cars if we didn't have the money. My dad and my mum worked and they saved and they got it and they built up their empire, which they one day thought maybe they would be able to give to us, because isn't that what used to happen sort of back in the olden days, where you'd have a farm and you'd want to leave it to your kids so that your kids could farm it and they could leave it for their kids, and we'd always leave a little bit more than we came with because that's what we aspired to do. We wanted to do right for our kids, for our families. Not anymore. No. You may not do that. You may simply exist, and when you leave this mortal world, you existed. That's your lot. Goff, Labour, screw this. It's just, we've got to get them out by 2026, haven't we? They've got to not be there anymore. We've got to have somebody with some sense that simply says, when you're hiring for a job, you hire the best person for the job. That's it. You don't say, where did you go to school? Where are you from? How much money do your parents have in the bank? How much money do you have in the bank? Who do you know? What are your connections? What's your family tree? What's your friend CV? How many friends have you got on Instagram? How many friends have you got on Facebook? How many followers have you got? None of that matters. Can you do the job? Can you muck a stable out better than the other person over there? Because if you are, I'm going to give it to you. Or can you muck a stable better than that person over there? No, but what else can you bring to the role that I could teach you to muck the stable out better than that person over there? And you might have some other qualities that you could bring to my yard. So maybe I'll do that. I don't have a yard, by the way. I'm just using it as an example. But that's what you do. That's why you have an interview process. That's why you have exams. That's why you are judged on your academia, if it's an academic role you're going for, your vocational role, your practical role. It doesn't matter what you do. You go for a job because you're the best fucking candidate. I mean, I